Hi, everybody. This week's tip of the week is about procrastination. I know it's something a lot of you deal with. You're not alone. A lot of your teachers deal with it too. It's a very common problem amongst humans in general. And the first thing I want to say to you, and this is something I only learned a few years ago, is that when we procrastinate, it doesn't mean that we're lazy. And it's important to know that because you know that feeling of like, I'm such a horrible person. I'm lazy. I procrastinated, and now there's all this stuff. Or even as you're procrastinating, right? You have these like awful feelings of like, you're playing your favorite game or watching your favorite show, and you're like, I should be doing this other thing, and then you're not actually enjoying that thing that you're doing as much as you should be, right? It's okay to do enjoyable things. It's good for us. But when we're doing it out of procrastination, we wind up not enjoying it. And it burns us out. It makes us even more tired. And it's this ongoing cycle. So there are some tips. And it's important to, you're at the right age for starting to work on this. Because it's something that if you don't take measures now, you're gonna be procrastinating your whole life, like a lot of us. And in our generation, like those of us who are Gen X or older, this isn't something that we talked about openly when we were young, right? We were just accused of being lazy, and that's it. So I want to give you some tips and support you in trying to kick this habit. It doesn't mean that you'll be perfect at it right away or ever. I think most of us, even when we work on it through our life, we always have periods and certain things we procrastinate on more than others. But you can at least get to the point where you're not procrastinating on a regular basis and about everything. And it'll be better for your mental health and your physical health in the long run because those two go together. So knowing that it's not about laziness, well, why is it? And I've read some interesting stuff that says that based on psychological research, that says it's you're avoiding negative feelings, right? And this is true for students, but a lot of other people. A lot of us have imposter syndrome. We feel incompetent. We're worried about not being good at something right away. And so if you get an assignment and you struggle with, say, essay writing, for example, and you have this new essay and you're going to put off as long as possible that feeling of like working on this thing or even reading the instructions for this thing where you're going to struggle, okay? If you change your mentality a little bit about that, and I know it's easier said than done, but if you see this as a learning opportunity, it's like, okay, I struggle with essays, but here's this other opportunity to improve my skills, and I can get support. I know some teachers are jerks, I know, but a lot of us are there, we genuinely do want to help, and the earlier you come to see us for support, the more we can help you. And there are other supports in the college, like the Writing Center that I've posted about before. So that's the thing, is that we have these negative feelings and we don't always realize that if we get support for getting over that sooner, then it'll help alleviate those feelings, because we're like, okay, I'm not expected to be perfect at it right away. I'm here to learn. That's what being a student is all about. And you know what? A lot of your teachers will be happy that you're coming to that realization and going, I need a bit more support here because this is something that I struggle with. So that kind of just being aware sometimes of what those negative feelings are that we're pushing off by procrastinating can help. It's that thing of like knowing what the problem is the first step to fixing it. So once next time you find yourself procrastinating, just adopt an attitude of curiosity. I read this somewhere. Like, just be curious. Just be, what is it about this thing that is making me not want to do it? Okay, it might not be the most fun thing, but that's life, right? We all have to do things that aren't fun sometimes. And, it's like, but what is it about this thing that is giving me feelings of maybe inadequacy, fear, things like that. And of course, there's sometimes mental health issues that contribute to that. That's like a separate conversation, but it's important to take that into account too. If you suffer from depression, anxiety, those things will all compound, right? But for this particular thing, if you try to think, what is it about that thing that I'm putting off? Why am I waiting until the day before the assignment to read the instructions? Am I afraid that I won't understand the instructions? Then think, okay, But if I don't understand the instructions, then reading them just the day before will be worse because I won't get help on time. And then if I look at them now, just really quickly and write down the things I don't understand, I can ask the teacher. And then why am I putting off asking the teacher? Am I afraid the teacher's going to laugh at me and make fun of me? And if you've had experiences with that, then I get it. But with me, please don't ever worry about that, right? And most of your teachers, sometimes we might be a bit impatient because we get the same question 20 times a day. But it's not an easy job, but most of us try to kind of be compassionate. So, you can, if you're honest and go, and you show them in the instructions what that specific thing you don't understand, most of your teachers will be happy to explain it to you instead of just saying, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, which makes us think that you didn't read the instructions at all. You look at them and so again, doing that earlier is better for you. So if you just sit and take stock of all those things that will be better for you in the long run if you do them sooner, sometimes that can help re-examine the feelings you're having towards them. So those are some quick things about why it's important to kind of start working on this, right? So all that said, how, right? So if you Google tips for procrastination, or overcoming procrastination, you'll find a lot. There's a lot online. And I've collected a few just to get you started, but please, Google is your friend, right? You'll find a lot more. So here I'm in distributed documents. And if I go here to important information, and I'm going to expand that, you'll see this is here all semester resource lists for students. And if you click here, it will take you to my resource page. Okay, and there are a bunch of tabs here. There's support services, academic, blah blah blah. But I'm putting some, and I'll keep adding some as I come across some good links. But if you click here on procrastination and time management, you'll see a few. And I found this really interesting article here that I'll open up here, and she kind of goes through what I was just saying, right? So like, why do we do it? It doesn't mean we're lazy. How to overcome it. And then, recognizing that you're procrastinating, just, again, being aware, why are you procrastinating? And then she goes into some concrete tips here that I invite you to look at. And there's some things here that can help you. I'll share a couple of my strategies with you as well. And the way that I've been learning about procrastination and observing it in myself over a lifetime, we can identify two parts of it. There's the getting started, but then there's staying focused, right? That's part of it too. Sometimes we manage to get started, but then we get, sidetracked because we hear a ding on our phone. So I'm going to give you just a couple of little strategies that I'm happy to share with you, and things that really work for me. Because as some of you know, I've been working on my PhD dissertation for a long time, and sometimes there's tiredness over the years working full time and being a single parent. That's basically 2 full-time jobs right there. It's been hard to find the time, but sometimes there's been some procrastination in there, in addition to the tiredness and exhaustion. So one of the things that's worked really well for me in the past year or so is this combination of techniques, where one is related to one of the links here that I put on my resource page, is the Pomodoro technique. Okay, and you can read up on this. There are different ways of doing it. You might have heard of it before, but it's basically breaking things into chunks of time. And in one of my classes, on the first day of class this semester, in that anonymous poll we had, somebody wrote something about just start with a 5-minute chunk, right? And that works really well, because if you tell yourself, oh my god, I have this thing to do and it's going to take me 5 hours, and you're putting it off because of the fear of this 5-hour chunk of time that's going to exhaust you. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to spend 5 minutes on this thing, and that's all you tell yourself, or 10 minutes, then sometimes you realize you get into it, because that's the thing, right? Sometimes this thing you've been putting off for weeks and weeks winds up taking you 20 minutes, and you're like, why did I put it off? But sometimes it is a big task, but you're just spending 5 or 10 minutes on it, you're like, oh, this isn't so bad, and sometimes you wind up getting into it, and you wind up spending a half hour. or an hour, and then it demystifies it a little bit for you, so it's easier to get started the next time you're working on that same thing. So the Pomodoro technique, you can read this and you can Google it and find other links, is this idea of breaking things up into chunks of time. And that can help both with getting started and staying focused, because if you give yourself, say, a 10, 15, 25-minute chunk of time, you're like, okay, I only have this much time, so I can't waste that time. I have to be working on this and staying focused. Now, there's a wonderful website, a service called FocusMate that I'm going to tell you about that kind of plays on that. But the other thing I wanted to say about staying focused is that even without any of these services, one thing that worked for me for a while, and still works sometimes, is that I set an alarm on my phone. And, there are different apps, right? I have a Samsung phone, so I use the Samsung alarm, and it's pretty cool because I have a type of alarm that's always there, and I just change the time. So say it's 1 in the afternoon and I want to work for an hour and a half. I set the alarm for in an hour and a half from then, and then on my phone I go on Messenger, which is the thing that tends to distract me the most because people write to me and it goes ding, and I turn off the notifications, and it gives me the option to turn them off until that alarm. But you can do that how you like. You can just turn off your notifications, shut down all the tabs on your computer that might be making noise, your email, anything that's going to make a noise and distract you, essentially. Right? And so that's worked really well for me, not just because it keeps me focused, but also I tend to work for too long and get into a zone and go hours without remembering to go fill my water glass, go pee, right? So it's a nice combination of helping you stay focused when you set these time blocks using the Pomodoro technique or just kind of your own chunks of time, and you get up, stretch your legs, and then it re-energizes you to come back and do another half hour or 45 minutes or whatever time block you set. So that's something to keep in mind. That can help you both get started, because even that feeling and the satisfaction of sitting down and setting yourself up can be nice, and then you're ready to get started. Also, I know it's hard for some of you, but setting up your workspace, if you get to have a space in your home that you have as a permanent workspace, keeping it the way that's inviting for you. So if you like everything put away, then when you're done something, well, when you're preparing for the next day, put everything away so it's inviting to come and sit at your desk. If you like it messy, then leave it messy, and that'll bring you in. Put some nice art or whatever it is that you like, pictures of your friends or your family or your, things that, nice color schemes. Again, it's not accessible to everybody because not everybody has their own space, but try to do something that makes it enticing. So these are all little things that you can do to bring you in, because then it's somewhere you want to be and it feels good, and then to help you stay distraction free for a while. One other, before I get to FocusMate, because I want to spend a bit of time on FocusMate, because I think it's really good for a lot of people. There's also Freedom. Freedom, there's a cost to it. I paid for it years and years ago, a lifetime license, and it was worth it for me. It was maybe $50 at the time, might be a little bit more, but it's for a lifetime, and there might be other plans that you can do. But Freedom is, you pay for it, and then it's on your computer. You can have it on your phone as well, and it can block whatever websites tend to distract you. So when I turn Freedom on, I block Facebook, for example, because that's a big time suck and a distraction. Oh, what are my friends posting about? So it's this idea of blocking for periods of time, and then you get a little notification like, oh, it's been an hour, and then you're like, oh, look, I worked for an hour. I deserve a little 5-minute break, So things like that. Now, FocusMate is a combination of these things, because what I like about, and here's the link, and I'm going to go to it here. You can do this on your own, of course. If you have friends that are kind of struggling with the same thing, and you want to be productive together, you can make these agreements where you're online together, either over Zoom or whatever messaging app that has video capacities, and you're there and you agree to not talk for a half hour or 45-minute, whatever time block, right? And you're being productive and looking at your friend, once in a while you go over and look at the camera and you go, oh yeah, they're being productive, look at them. That can inspire you. It's kind of like in real life, a lot of people would do that in cafes. We'll meet in a cafe and we're all working for a half hour, then we take a 5 minute chat break, whatever, then we work for another half hour. That works well for a lot of people. And you have to kind of be strict with each other, though, and stick to that agreement. Now, if that doesn't work because, you all struggle with the same thing and then you wind up spiraling off with each other and then just fooling around the whole time, you can try to find a friend who's good at focusing and then they might inspire you, as long as you respect them and don't try to distract them. But it can work really well to do this with strangers, and FocusMate allows this. So the way FocusMate works, you can get a free account where you can book 3 sessions per week. So that's one good way to start. And basically, once you create your account, and it's super easy and, like I said, free, and I'll show you, what it looks like once you have an account, is that then you're on your dashboard and you can see the whole week. There's a calendar here, and you can book 50-minute sessions, and they show up as an hour because there's a 10-minute thing at the end. So say you want to book, and you have names here, they're all FocusMate members, or you can book an empty time slot and somebody will get matched with you. So the system pairs you up with somebody, and then, when the time comes, so at 11 o'clock tonight, for example, I have a session with somebody named Luna. I'm going to click join about a couple of minutes before it starts, and then when this other person joins, the only talking we're allowed to do is check in with each other and say, okay, well, what are you going to be working on for the next 50 minutes? That's the typical script, and you take turns in a minute or less explaining what it is you're going to do. Not in too much detail. It's like, oh, okay, and you try to kind of say something concrete, like not just I'm going to work on the assignment, but just like I'm going to write 2 paragraphs for this assignment, or I'm going to proofread this assignment. Something like that. Or I'm going to read 5 pages in a chapter and take some notes. And then the other person tells you, and then you negotiate whether you want to keep your microphones on or off. A lot of people prefer them off because they like to play music and they don't want to bother the other person. Some people like it on because they hear the other person typing or whatever. People use this also for household chores, meditation, as long as the person stays in the camera. That's an important thing. The cameras stay on to avoid voyeurism. And for women and non-binary folks, you have the option of choosing what other genders you want to be matched with, because, some women on there in particular have had issues with creepy voyeur guys, and that's an unfortunate thing. But I've been matched with all kinds of people on there. Most of them are cool, and so it works really well. And if you're shy, so a lot of people hesitate. They like the idea, but they're shy to hook up with a stranger online. I have a private link that I can share with people. If any of you want to try it out with me, I tend to work late at night. So just to give you an example of the sessions I've booked that are coming up, on Tuesday I have one at 8, but the other times like 11 p.m. and then midnight, which is 12 a.m. on the Monday. So I'm a night person. So if evening and nights, you can look and see, and I'm happy to just show you the ropes. I'll still be focusing on my own thing, but I can take 2 minutes at the beginning to just explain how it works, and you'll do your thing. I won't ask you what you're doing. It doesn't have to be for my class, but it gives you the opportunity to test it out with somebody that you know, so then you see how it works for when you wind up with a stranger. So just let me know if you're interested in trying it out. And then at the end, when the 50 minutes is up, then there's another quick check-in. So how did it go? And, and nobody judges you if you didn't manage to finish, but as long as you feel like you moved ahead, and then that's it. Then you say goodbye and you leave. And so it's that easy, and again, it's like anything else. Humans are humans, but for the most part, people are there to focus and work. So for me, I started with a free account, and then I enjoyed it so much, it was helping me so much, that I decided to upgrade. And for $5 a month, you get an unlimited number of sessions. Now, I'm not trying to sell you this, and I don't work for them, right? It's just something that I find works really well, and it works really well for a lot of people. It was created, I think, by folks who deal with ADHD, and so they have focus issues. So there you go. So those are some tips. Please, if you struggle with this, and you're running late with something, I prefer if you tell me, say the day before something's due, I'm a procrastinator, I'm having a hard time, and I'm late because I was procrastinating. Can I get an extension? I prefer you tell me that than give me some kind of lie about, your 10th grandmother dying, or, so there you go. So there are some tips. I hope they're helpful. Don't be shy to reach out if you have any questions about any of this.